Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us for Inside Tulsa Athletics as we continue to follow the athletic programs of the Tulsa Public Schools. And I think we're going to have a very interesting show for you today. Gil Cloud, Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, and his staff are going to be aboard, and we're going to talk about the 53rd Annual Basketball Tournament of Champions for both boys and girls. And then, of course, we're going to bring aboard Brad Caleb. He's the head football coach at Booker T. Washington High School, where they just won the Division II and 6A state championship in football. All of that's coming up right here on Inside Tulsa Athletics. Don't go away. We're right back.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
We continue inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard Adina Norman, who is the swimming coach at Booker T. Washington High School, and I might add, a very, very successful swimming coach, and that success is carrying over this year, isn't it?
Yes, they're doing very well. We've had 6 swim meets so far, and they have won almost all of them. So there were some surprises. We went to Edmond on Tuesday, which is where they hold the state championship. So we were really excited to swim the kids in the state championship pool, so they know what it was like and how they felt. And so, you know, they did way better there against all the 3 Edmond schools than they expected at all. So it was very nice to have that. We definitely have had some records being broken on our record board at the pool, and so that's been exciting also. So it seems that the kids have really started to get a little extra competitive, which is exactly what we need them to do. So since they do have their mind set on wanting to win state.
You know, I always think it's interesting when we talk to coaches early in the school year, and they have that, they're really just very, very firm in their belief that they're going to have a good team, or a good unit, whatever it might be. And you were that way back in September. And now as we get ready for the new year to come in, you have lived up to every bit of it, haven't you?
Yes, I'm very excited, and they're very excited. But as excited as we are, we also have to make sure that they don't lose sight of what it is that they want to accomplish. And so we do have winter break coming up, and like I was telling you before, you know, I really want to make sure that they really, really want it, so that they come in and they work for it.
What do you look forward to after you come back from the semester break, get into January? What do you look forward to with the swim team and their progress toward that gold medal?
I look forward to that over the break that they worked really extra hard. We've had extra hours to train, and I look forward to seeing how well they swim tired.
Because, how they swim tired?
Yes, because the yardage jumps up, the training is even harder, and so I look forward to see how well they can swim being that way, because then when it comes to time for them to taper and closer to state, then I feel like they're going to go from this point. If they can tired make their best times or break their best times, when they come to where they taper, I know that they're going to exceed even further, way further out. And then that's what I look forward to. That's what will get me really excited for state.
As you work toward the state finals, do you feel that your team has an opportunity to win the state championship?
I do feel that they have the opportunity. We've really moved up in the 7 years that I've been coaching, and they've really grown together as a team, and they've learned how to want to accomplish a goal together rather than just swimming their individual and getting their best times. But that's good to do that, but they've really learned that it matters that I do this well, so it helps my team so that we can win. And that's a good thing to have and a good accomplishment, to be able to really get the kids to understand and want that.
I think it's always interesting when you get to this point in any sport and you get into the second semester. There's always some players, some kids that maybe in October, they didn't look too good. In January, they are beginning to contribute. Do you have any of those?
I think I have those kind of already. When we're training through the summer, and then we start training, and you can kind of see or know with them from last year, and then all of a sudden we start doing these swim meets, and I've had a few that have just really exceeded. I have Annabelle Remy. She just all of a sudden came out and she's beat all of her best times, even through what she got at state last year. I have Eli Brock, who's already broken his times, like in the 100 fly. It looks absolutely amazing. He feels really great, and he's been training really hard, so he's not even close to not being tired. And when that stuff happens, that's when I can really start picking out those kids, and I'm like, ooh, that's going to be good. That's going to be good right there. So,
well, we want to wish you the very best of luck. We're going to be following you, and hopefully that when you get to that state swim meet, that the kids will really reach their peak. But it's been fun having you.
All right, thank you.
Stay with us. More coming up right after this.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education. What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Stuff. When you don't want it, what do you do with it? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. There, you'll learn what to do with stuff you don't know what to do with. Just give us a click. TulsaRefuse.org. It's what you do when you don't know what to do with stuff.
We continue inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard Steve Freebus, who is the coordinator of sports medicine for the Tulsa Public Schools. And Steve, always a pleasure having you aboard, and your job and your area of concern with athletics has become more important every year.
And it just grows and grows sometimes, it feels like, and it's just every day's a new day, and we don't know what we're going to get from an email, a phone call from a coach, who got hurt last night.
Well, I can understand that. Now, 5-way testing, talk about that.
Okay, our sway testing is, we use an app on a device like a phone or an iPad that uses the accelerometers in it, and what it's doing is it's the athlete, when we're baseline testing them, they put their feet in different positions, close their eyes, and of course with your eyes closed, it's harder to balance. And so it measures how much they sway. And we can use that so that should they get a concussion down the road, we compare their testing then to their baseline testing, and we can help manage when it's safe to return to the sport, return to learn. Of course, there's many other symptoms we go with, but this one you can't lie on. You can't say I'm fine when you really aren't. It's easy to tell. It's to see those numbers and those scores of how their balance and reaction time are.
And I can't help but think back during the years when that was going on, and we didn't have men like you that was there to catch that sort of activity, and it's got to be a good feeling when you can stop something like that.
Yeah, that there's no, it's very objective versus subjective, that you can say, look, here is the numbers. Numbers don't lie. We can, you know, it's one thing. I can't see a headache. I can't see nausea. I can't see dizziness. I can't see blurred vision. But I can see your balance, and I can compare it to your balance when you weren't concussed, and I can see your reaction time on a test, and it's easy to tell. So, although I have other tools and ways to check, it's more when you're coming back and are you ready? That kid, well, there's a game tonight I want to play in. So, it helps us with that.
Sway testing, that's something. Now, let's look at wrestling weight control. Now, it is different now than it was 40 years ago.
It's different from 10 years ago. I mean, I hear a lot of moms say, I'm not going to send my kid out to wrestling because I don't want them to lose weight. Well, the old culture of wrestling was you go in, you wear all these plastics, you sweat a lot of water out, and if you can't drop 20 pounds in 2 days, something's wrong with you, that, you know, somehow that you're a lesser of an athlete. But these days, at the beginning of the year, state requirement that we do a hydration and baseline testing that finds out what the athlete's body fat percentage is, and it says that it's not healthy to wrestle below a 7% body fat. Now, some kids are naturally below that, and they allow that, but then you can't drop any more weight. But let's just say if you are at 10% body fat and we measure you there, it says that you can't lose any more than 3% of your body fat. You can't go below that 7% threshold. So you thought you could lose 20 pounds, but the formula says you can only lose maybe 8 pounds or something like that. Whatever that 3% or what, you know, anything above the 7% is, that's all you're allowed to lose.
You know, it seems to me like in visiting with the coaching staffs that wrestling is picking up in Tulsa Public Schools. I know over at Webster we've had the Webster coach on, Ray Nunley, and what he helped reinvigorate at Edison High School. It seems like McLean is growing. Is this coming about in all of the schools?
Yeah, and I think what those coaches have done is they've really worked with the junior highs. They're bringing those junior high kids on a little earlier. So it's tough in wrestling to come in when you're a freshman in high school and have never wrestled before and have that opportunity for success when your wrestling kids have been wrestling since, you know, 5th, 4th grade or something like that. So it just gives them a more competitive advantage. And so it's important that they've at least been introduced to the sport.
Well, I know this for sure, that it seems to me like that in my background being around wrestling coaches and high school wrestlers, that they really developed a great desire to be successful.
Yeah, it's you can't hide behind somebody else. It's a one-on-one sport, and so if you're lagging, you're not trying real hard, it's pretty obvious. So it forces the discipline. It forces your you know, desire to be better because you don't want to embarrass yourself, and there's nobody else to blame if you didn't work real hard in practice.
Steve, always a pleasure having you aboard, and look forward to having you back soon.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us on Inside Tulsa Athletics. More coming up right after this.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we continue visiting with Rusty Sumwalt. Now, Rusty is the regional manager for BSN Sports, and Rusty, it's a pleasure having you here and doing what you do with the Tulsa Public Schools. We're appreciative.
Thank you for having me.
Well, tell us something about the Nike products and your association with Tulsa Public Schools.
Okay. We just entered into an agreement with Tulsa Public, and we are the official supplier of the Nike cloth and the equipment for the district, for the 9 high schools and the 11 middle schools.
Well, has this been something that you worked hard to acquire?
Absolutely. We have numerous people have been working on this for about 2 years. It's definitely been a process, but it's a relationship that we look to continue, but it's been great so far.
Well, I know that you have had a real close relationship with Gil Cloud, the Director of Athletics, and that has been good for the Tulsa Public Schools as well as for TPS and Nike products.
Absolutely. Just the scope of the district that we can able to reach the kids and hopefully provide just an opportunity of just something that, you know, remembering their high school uniform or their middle school uniform, just give them that experience, helping to eliminate some of the headache for the coaches and the administrators and just give them more time to spend with those kids.
Rusty, tell us about the start of BSN and how you really got involved and later become involved here with Tulsa Public Schools.
Sure. BSN stands for Best Applied Network in Sports. Originally founded in '72. Mr. Blumenfeld started selling sports nets out of the back of his vehicle in Memphis, and it has blossomed into a very large company now, but kind of a local feel. We've got numerous salesmen here in the state that we blanket not only Oklahoma but also the rest of the United States.
Well, has it grown according to what you thought it would be growing?
I've been with the company for about 2.5 years. You know, I purchased from them when I was teaching and coaching, and now have the opportunity to work with them. But I'm telling you, it continues to grow, and just by leaps and bounds, and just the technology behind it, the innovations behind the sporting goods industry. It's just fun to be a part of.
Well, it's changed a lot, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are the positive effects that it has now?
You know, we try to make it easier, like I said, for the coach or the administrator. We have a lot of online. The coaches have the ability to go online, design their uniform. We can do an online store for the kids, just to try to make their life a little more simple, take one less headache out of their day.
Well, you know, when you talk about the uniforms, it seems like that the uniforms anymore are not like they were for years, where you wouldn't buy a set, you would buy 2 or 3 to replace them. Now that's not the case anymore, is it, very much?
No, there's an opportunity where, and you see it on Sunday, you see it on Saturday on TV with the professional sports or the college sports, and they have 4, 5, 6 uniforms, and gone are the days of you wear white at home and gray on the road. Yeah. And you know, it gives the kids some creativity. You know, maybe show their school colors a little bit better, but it definitely has changed.
Well, you know, that's the thing that really has jumped out at me. The fact that some schools have been, as an example, the red and white. And yet you see them someplace and they're in green and blue.
Sure.
I mean, that school color isn't as mandated as it once was.
No, I mean, we see some designs from numerous schools that sometimes they're a stretch to their school colors, to say the least.
Well, you know, I can remember back when all of this first started, that in most instances, the director of athletics and the principal or superintendent of the school, you're not going to mess with the colors because it was here before you came. But it seems like now it's nothing to walk in and a team that is red and white or green and white or black and white or whatever be something else.
Sure, and I know working with Tulsa Public and a lot of the other schools, you know, they do give the kids a little bit of freedom, but they do want to, you know, connect with not only the past but also the present with their mascots and their tradition.
Rusty, it's been a pleasure having you. I wish we had more time, but it seems like it just gets away real quick. But best of luck, and I hope that your association with Gil Cloud continues.
So do we. Thank you very much.
Stay with us on Inside Tulsa Athletics. More coming up right after this.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly,
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Stuff. When you don't want it, what do you do with it? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. There, you'll learn what to do with stuff you don't know what to do with. Just give us a click. TulsaRefuse.org. It's what you do when you don't know what to do with stuff.
We continue inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard Jen Sanders, Assistant Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools. And Jen, you are going to take care of the entertainment for the 53rd Annual Tournament of Champions. And what a job that is, but how much fun is it as well?
You know, it's probably one of the, most exciting parts of my job as far as the Tournament of Champions, is finding the entertainment. Last year was my first year to do that, and what I've noticed is after a couple of years of doing this, you get people that call you and say, hey, we'd like to perform at the Tournament of Champions. It's obviously one of the most prestigious tournaments in the state, and it's a large tournament, so we have lots of folks that want to perform.
And you know what that also does? That increases the attendance, because when you have a group coming in that is wanting to perform in front of the audience, then their parents are going to come, their grandparents are going to come, their friends are going to come, and that just makes it that much better.
That's right. We have, quite a few different groups this year. We have not only some AAU teams, third grade AAU teams that are going to, play a game at halftime. We have a few jump rope teams. The Broken Arrow jump rope team will be there, along with the Preston Pirate jump rope team. It's a favorite of the Tournament of Champions.
Now, a jump rope, now, what does that include?
Well, they do all kinds of tricks with jump ropes. They're doing flips. They stand on each other's shoulders. Lots of exciting things. And, these are kids that are anywhere from, first grade to sixth grade. So it's pretty exciting. They put on one great show. We also have quite a few dance groups. The Prancing Pearls will be there, along with the Legacy Project, which is a large dance company in downtown Tulsa. So that's exciting. A couple of other folks that we have that are going to be there. We have a Special Olympics cheer group that's going to get out there and cheer, and a Special Olympics basketball team that's going to play. And for our kids, that are able to get out there and perform, with the Special Olympics, that's really important, and it's like these kids are, in their mind, they're playing in a huge arena with fans all over, and so it's super exciting, and it's a lot of fun to schedule these acts and the entertainment for the Tournament of Champions every year.
How do you go about putting those in the winner's bracket or in the loser's bracket at night or in the day? Some of them maybe have to do it at a particular time.
Well, as you know, Mick Wilson keeps that tournament bracket pretty tight-lipped, and he doesn't release it, not even to our office, until the very end. So what I have to do is just schedule each game, and then so it just happens that folks, they go and perform at the time that they feel is best for their parents and their kids and things like that. So they don't know either which game they'll be performing in until the brackets come out. So that's kind of exciting too. They get to figure out, which team am I going to get to see, or which team are we performing for? So that's exciting as well.
Well, do you get many inquiries about that type of activity coming from the teams, school that are coming in, or do most of them come from outside?
Most of them come from outside. We've had a few cheerleading groups that have performed. But at this point, we have so many outside inquiries for different things that we really want to make it unique for the tournament, but we also want to make it feel like, you're at a Thunder game or something. We'll have a t-shirt toss. I haven't convinced anybody to get me a t-shirt gun yet, but we'll have a t-shirt toss, and we'll have some gift certificates and things like that we're going to give out. So it's just a lot of fun for our kids. And like I said, we want it to be that atmosphere of, a professional game and things like that.
I think that is so interesting, because at one time you would never have thought of doing this. But now athletics in all form has spread out to the point that they do more than just watch the game. And this, there's people coming just to watch their kids perform.
That's right. And it's super exciting for the parents and the grandparents to see their kids out there in such a large setting.
Did you have one or two maybe this year that you didn't expect, or that you are really excited about?
We have been pretty excited about, we've got 3 jump rope teams this year, so that's pretty exciting. I think actually the performances have grown some of the area around here. Broken Arrow and then the Mingo Valley, both of those jump rope teams. And then, of course, Aim High Academy, which is a dance academy and gymnastics academy here in Tulsa. We're excited to have those guys here this year. So, it's going to be great. I can't, say that one is going to be my favorite, but it's going to be fun.
Well, Jen, I can say this. I can't wait for it to come because as I will tell Mick Wilson and also Gil Cloud, I'll be out there at 9 o'clock. I'll be watching them. And it's always a pleasure just to watch them have that much fun. And we look forward to having you back.
All right, thanks, JB.
Stay with us, more coming up right after this.
Stuff. When you don't want it, what do you do with it? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. There, you'll learn what to do with stuff you don't know what to do with. Just give us a click. TulsaRefuse.org. It's what you do when you don't know what to do with stuff.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes. And way over here, busy moms. No?
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard the Assistant Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, Mick Wilson. And Mick getting ready for the 53rd Annual Tournament of Champions. What a tournament.
Well, it's going to be a great tournament, a fun tournament, a lot of work, but just a lot of quality teams, both boys and girls, and it'll be another great year of Tulsa Public Schools showcasing not only our kids, but hosting a lot of really good teams. So it's going to be a good time.
As I go down and look at it, I don't think the average basketball fan can realize how difficult it is to get 8 teams from the boys, 8 teams from the girls, and as good as what you get, how many state champions will come out of that, and then we can go out to the Maybe Center and watch them play right after Christmas. Man, can't get any better than that.
No, it's really, really quality basketball, really good coaching, just lots of good players, and a great time. Both boys and girls this year are well represented in the state rankings, OSSA rankings. I think this is week 3. And I was looking through today that all of our teams are ranked. Most of all of them are in the top 5 or 6. So it's going to be very competitive. Again, the great format that your good friend Doug Duggar started many years ago, the David and Goliath format of the first round, is always exciting. People are always pulling for the underdog, and so it'll be a good basketball tournament with a lot of good teams, a lot of good players, and a lot of good coaches.
And you know what I always enjoy is that inevitable. There will be state champions coming from that in all classes. There may be a Class B school come in or even a Class C school come in and not win a game, lose 3, but from that point on, they become a state champion of their class.
We've had that happen several times. Most recently, we had a team come out of the consolation bracket. It was Okema when Kel Simon brought his Okema team, boys team here and played. And they took their lumps the very first round. In fact, they got beat pretty handily and then won the second 2. And lo and behold, they go on and win the 3A state championship. I think that's been about 3 years ago now that they did that. So that happens quite often. Sealing girls 2 years ago came and pulled off one of the bigger upsets of the girls tournament, maybe in tournament history, when they beat East Central. And then they turned around in the 3rd place game and beat Claremore. So and they're back again this year. So Coach Hamer has a great team, and they're well coached, and they do a great job.
That's what gets me looking at this year's bracket. When you go down there in girls basketball, there are potential state champions in the top and the bottom of the bracket.
Well, I've been asked this year who I thought the girls' favorite would be at this time, and I really can't tell you. I mean, you look across there, and every one of the teams really feature a marquee player, someone that's being highly recruited or was a big-time scorer last year in high school girls basketball. So I really look at the girls bracket. I right now can't tell you a favorite. It's wide open, and I think it's anybody's tournament to win.
Mick, as you start inviting people to this, let's look at the girls first. When you start inviting girls teams and girls coaches, I think now that they are more conscious of the fact that they don't want to come up here and lose. They don't realize how good it is. But yet, on the other hand, they want to come because it's a chance for them to establish themselves as very strong in their particular classification.
Well, there's no question about it. I think the prestige of the tournament and the tradition of the tournament really kind of sells itself. People are excited when you get that phone call that you're being invited, and they love to accept and bring their team. I think that and the way we treat the kids when they're here and the coaches, that we make it a first-class event by our staff here in the athletic department, and really it's a great showcase of Tulsa Public Schools and what ability we have to be able to host these people. And of course the folks at the Mabee Center do a great job. So those are easy phone calls to make, and those people are really excited, and they get to come and like you said, showcase their team and show that they're a worthy opponent of a state championship.
You know, something that has really surprised me is when you first put this in and you start playing at 9 o'clock in the morning. I thought, not many people want to go to a basketball game at 9 o'clock. I was wrong. They come at 9 o'clock to the Mabee Center. Last year, it seemed to me like every day I was out there at 9 o'clock, and there was 1,000 people there. I mean, there was a good crowd all day long, and that's got to make you feel good.
It does. It makes you feel good because a lot of these kids are supported by their communities and their school districts, that they let people get loose and come and watch and support their teams. And a lot of the smaller towns, they shut down and come up and spend 2 or 3 days here, and it's a way to do some after Christmas shopping and eat some good food and then go watch a lot of good basketball.
You know, I think it's interesting when you go back and talk about the beginning of it. 53 years ago, when a small school, Inola, won it. And we have had small schools to win it, not very often, but that makes it that much more interesting, I think, to come and watch and say, you know, because those kids play so hard, and sometimes the big school kids don't play that hard, and it can be a loss for them.
Well, talking to some of those coaches, they sell their kids on, the small schools sell their kids on the prestige of the tournament, and they know that they wouldn't be here if they're not good, you know what I mean? And so they sell their kids on, hey, let's get through the first day. If we have to take a lump or two, that's fine, but we'll bounce back on day 2 and day 3 and show what we can really do. And that happens some with the small schools, but then again, like you said, there's the great upsets. Who can ever forget that Smithsville beat Booker T. Washington many
Yes.
years ago, and I think that was 83 or 84 that we sat and watched that game happen. So there's anything's possible, but these teams really get excited about the first round.
Now, when we take a look at it, is there anything you would like to tell our audience, maybe, because we could sit here and visit about this forever, but is there anything specifically that you would like for our audience to know about this year's tournament?
Well, we've talked a little bit about the girls, but I tell you what, the boys' side is going to be phenomenal. I think we've got probably the most college prospects in this tournament we've had in a while. I mean, top to bottom, we've got some size with Ringwood bringing two young men, 6'9" and 6'11". Kingston bringing a player that's 6'11", and I don't think that Kingston has maybe but one senior, so they're a really good team. And then, of course, Booker T. Washington with Bryce Thompson and Jason Burrill and Seth Hurd, and Memorial with the Boone twins. I mean, they're both 6'7", 6'8". You're going to see some quality basketball with a lot of college prospects on the floor. Carl Albert, Midwest City. So the basketball is going to be really strong. But again, I think prospect-wise, this is maybe one of the better tournaments we've had in a while, with just sheer talent top to bottom.
And you know, we're going to visit in a little bit about some of the activities that's going to go on, but there is just so much. The program this year, how about that?
Well, we really thanks to our partners at Game Day Media. This year's programs, they did this as a complimentary service to the Tournament of Champions, to our district, and so we're going to pass along those savings to the fans. So we'll have free programs this year, thanks to them, and we'll get those will be distributed at the concession stands there in the Mabee Center, and we'll probably also have a table out with people distributing those to our fans. But they'll make a nice program each day that everybody will have, and it won't cost anything. And again, we'll have top-notch facilities. We'll have top-notch concessions and things for people to come out, and parking is free, of course, and you pull right into the Mabee Center and walk right in and get your seat. Online ticket sales have begun, and those passes, 3-day passes, are quite a savings. Those are $40 for 3 days, so that will save you some money if people out there want to get online and purchase their ticket. So it'll be as convenient as we can make it for you to come out and enjoy 3 days of good basketball.
Well, I can't wait for it. It's going to be 3 days of just pleasure watching basketball. Thanks for being aboard, and we'll see you at the
Thanks,
Tournament of
JD.
Champions.
Appreciate it.
Stay with us. More coming up right after this.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
We continue inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard Brad Caleb, the head football coach and athletic director at Booker T. Washington High School, and look what he has brought us, the Go Ball. Brad, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Annie.
You know, this was something that the last time we had you on the show, that was about maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, you indicated at that point in time that this is what your team wanted and they were going to get. You did it.
Yes, I mean, a great group of kids that committed themselves after a loss to Lawton last year, and I mean, they worked hard in the summer, and once the season got there, they were determined to bring the gold ball home, and it was just a fun season to watch those guys just kind of mature every week, and just accomplishment they produced during the season, only getting beat by a team out of state, West Monroe, and not getting beat by any Oklahoma teams. Boy, it just shows that's the character of my team, and I just couldn't be more proud of them.
You know, I love to look at the line score. At the end of the first quarter, no score. At the end of the half, 7-7. At the end of the third quarter, you're down 1 touchdown, 14-7. At the end of the game, you're up 1 touchdown because you outscored them 14-0. And then watching it on television, it appeared to me that your team never lost confidence.
Never. I mean, people don't realize, you know, we also had 5 turnovers in the first half.
Yes.
And normally when you tell me that we had 5 turnovers in the first half going into the game, I'm like, well, we're going to get beat by probably about 3 or 4 touchdowns. And to be 7-7 going into halftime is just a contribution to my staff that, you know, we do have a chance. I mean, because normally when you have 5 turnovers, you're getting beat by 2 or 3 touchdowns. And it was like 7-7. So we just kind of treated it as though the second half is like 0-0. And like you said, man, we came out second half and they drove the ball down our throat and scored, and then they went up 2 scores, and this was kind of late in the third. So our kids kind of faced adversity early in the season, but you know they never panicked, and that's what I kind of paid contribution to my coaching staff and the fans and the people who came out. They never quit, and they found a way to win in the fourth quarter.
You know, that's what is so rewarding, I think, is from day one, you had indicated that the kids had really dedicated themselves to winning a state championship because they hadn't won one. 2010 was the last, I think, state championship that Booker T had won, and that these kids wanted to win it, and they kept that right down until they took the gold ball.
Yes, I mean, you know, 7 years has been a long time, especially at Booker T. Washington, and time to bring that enjoyment and excitement back to Booker T, man, is so gratifying. And like I said, we had a bunch of kids that dedicated themselves to that, and so I couldn't be proud enough of those guys. They play lights out. And like I said, you know, we had our backs against the wall in the third and fourth quarter, and man, they found a way to win. And I told those guys, especially beginning of the year, I said, the way we're going to win this is brotherhood and trusting each other in this room. And we had it going into the fourth quarter, brotherhood and love, and you can just see it and brewing in the fourth quarter. And once we got the lead, you know, the rest was history.
Yes. Talk a little bit about Philip Wheatley. Also, you had Ryan McQuarters. Both of them had great games.
Yeah, Philip, he was kind of I would say a guy that we really needed him to step up for us to win the state championship, and he did. Starting out week one, and man, he had a performance there in the state championship. I mean, he got hit several times and got up, and I think he threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air, and he scored 1 on the ground. He had an outstanding game, and he started out a little shaky the first 3 quarters. I mean, he started out shaking. I kind of knew that because none of those kids never been there. And once he kind of got his composure and he found JJ and man, the rest was history. And Riley McQuarters, we put in this Wildcat package for him, and we tried it earlier, and man, we just couldn't get the timing with our center. He snapped the ball over his head a couple of times and just put us in a bad situation. And later on in the game, we ran it, and they just couldn't adjust to the formation. We just had everybody on line of scrimmage, and they just couldn't line up to it. And he got to the edge and scored and kind of got and sparked us and got us back into the game.
Talk a little bit about, we just have a little over a minute, but talk a little bit about the linemen that played so well for you, and yet they don't get the publicity or the recognition that some of the others get. But I know in your heart they're there.
Yes, I mean, Tony Carpenter, our center, man, he had a hard time hearing because of the crowd, but he played excellent all year. Gavin Chalk, you know, he's one of our, I think he's our left tackle with Borgs, our left tackle, and on the right side, we have Jamon Hudson who played an outstanding game, and those guys right there, most of those guys are seniors. Like I said, they don't get the credit like the skilled guys, but man, they do the dirty work, and they produce a lot of holes for Grayson this year, who had an outstanding year, and I couldn't be more proud of those guys to kind of bring the gold ball back to Booker T. Washington.
Well, we just have about 30 seconds. Your staff did a great job.
Yes, you know, this, like I told those guys, this program is bigger than me. I got one of the best staffs in 6A, 1 and 2. You know, Coach Brown, my defensive coordinator, and Dustin Cherry and Amos Cherry, Dante Pearson, and I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But, you know, those guys did a great job, and I just want to say, without those guys, this wouldn't be here, I promise you.
Well, again, we want to congratulate you and hope to do this again next year with a gold ball.
Well, thank you.
Stay with us. More coming up right after this.
Stuff. When you don't want it, what do you do with it? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. There, you'll learn what to do with stuff you don't know what to do with. Just give us a click. TulsaRefuse.org. It's what you do when you don't know what to do with stuff. Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard the Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, Gil Cloud. And Gil, it seems like every week there's something going on with the OSSA, and you can bring us up to date.
Well, I think, you know, they have such a broad range of duties and activities that they have to govern across the state of Oklahoma. There are 480 member schools, and ranging in size from an average daily membership of 12 to an average daily membership of over 5,000. So the differences between those kinds of schools through the classes makes it more difficult, I think, to administer on a day-to-day basis, because a school with 300 won't have the same problems as a school with 4,000. They're totally different. And the school with 300 probably is not located in a town that has 4,000, much less 4,000 in a school. So the day-to-day operation of being able to administer that equally across the board with all 19 championships that the Activity Association sponsors in athletics, and then all the non-athletic competitions, speech, debate, one-act plays, orchestra, all those things. It is a huge job, and there are a number of people out there that would like to assist them in carrying out their job.
Well, you know, that's the thing that has always amazed me, as the OSSAA has grown. I mean, when it started out, they were just really working with the major sports. And now that they have come and taken in all activities of the school, it makes it very difficult, and it makes it very difficult for them to maybe stay away from lawsuits and that sort of thing.
They have to really have people specialized in each of the areas that work down there, because they need to be state of the art in what we're trying to accomplish with our students and our student athletes throughout the association. So I think it makes a lot of difference. And I feel like they have a really, really good staff. But, you know, in the previous years, the legislature's been after them. At one point, they wanted to put the Activities Association under the State Department of Education, even though the state superintendent said she didn't want them over there. I think nobody really realizes what the day-to-day operation is, you know, with the association and with the sports. You know, just for instance, we just concluded the football championships. Cross country was the week before that. Volleyball was the week before that. But we're talking about 7 classes, not just one class. There are 7 classifications, Class C through Class 6A1. So there's a lot of championships to be determined, and that starts with the elimination games and so on and so forth. And so I think to be something to everybody is very difficult. You can't be something to everybody. You're going to be in a realm where some people have a different point of view of how things should be run, and they just have to try to meet the middle of the road and do the best they can.
Gil, do you see any change coming from the standpoint of them consolidating schools? And what you were mentioning there, some schools just has a very few numbers, and if they start to reduce those, what that will do from an economic standpoint? Do you see that coming?
What I see is I think the legislature is moving in that direction. I think consolidation is literally essential if we're going to be able to have only the same number of dollars that we have now to educate. You know, I started my career in 1969, and I worked at what I thought was Sedan High School, but it was called USD 286 because it was 3 schools that had unified school district 286. And when I saw the football schedule, I said, how come that says USD 286 football schedule? I thought this was Sedan High School. He said, well, the people in Cherryvale and Cedarville don't want to be called Sedan High School. So there are difficult things, I think, that go into consolidation. One of the things that has been discussed a lot is out west, where the towns are small, a lot of small towns, and they're a long distance apart. Yes. How long do you want a student to be on a bus to ride to school? What time do you want to put that student on that bus to get to school? If they're an hour and a half or an hour just to get to their school campus, they have to get on the bus at 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. They don't get home till 6 o'clock at night. So there are a lot of logistics that are going to have to be worked out. I've always felt that one of the alternatives would be online education. You know, in some of those small schools, they just take their classes online in a computer, And it would save overhead for administrative cost, building cost. It costs to heat and air those buildings and warm those buildings in the winter. There are just so many things that go on. It would affect greatly the activities program. I think there's no question. Some kids would be eliminated because of the distance they would have to travel to their new home field. So.
Stay with us. More coming up on Inside Tulsa Athletics right after this.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
We continue Inside Tulsa Athletics with the Director of Athletics, Gil Cloud. And Gil, let's talk about the recent survey.
Well, we've talked about this a couple of times before, but it finally came out in print. What the association would be asking the membership to respond to. And basically, the question that we have out there, do you want a dead period during the summer? And the definition of dead period would be that the school facility would be closed for the period of time, whether it's 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever that period of time was, and that no employed coach in the district could have any contact with the student athletes that they would coach during the year. And this has been something that's kind of gone around the nation. I think there are only 3 or 4 states in the country now that don't have some form of dead period, and Oklahoma is one of them. So we've discussed it as athletics directors. They've discussed it at the principals' meetings, the superintendent's meetings, and so they determined that we were let's survey the membership and see where they fall. There are some critical parts to this. The association has given us 3 dates to look at. The last week in June, first week in July, the first 2 weeks, in other words, July 1 through 14 in July, or July 5 through 14. The first one, while it's favored by a number of people, I don't think would be very popular in this side of the state, because the last week of June is really the last week of summer league basketball. And a lot of schools, most schools don't start because we can't by rule any summer league games if school is still in session. So if you go to school through the end of May or the 1st of June, if we had snow days or whatever, you'd have less than 3 weeks to complete your summer league basketball. Right the way it is now, we can go almost 5 weeks because it has to be completed by July 4th. And if you get out of school like we did last year on May the 17th, and you have that time. Okay, those are the 3 dates. Now, the one controversial thing in the dead period has become the 1-hour practice in that sport a day. And my feeling is that we're not ready to do that, because we haven't looked at the logistics of a kid who, for instance, is a 3-sport letterman. Mm-hmm. Then that kid's going to practice 3 hours a day in 3 different sports, and by rule can do that. When is that kid going to be a kid, number one? Number two, when is that kid going to get a job, if they need a job in the summertime? And now we're going to have coaches fighting over, well, he needs to come to my practice. Well, he needs to come to my practice. Well, I've got a summer league game tonight, or I've got a baseball game tonight in the summer. You're going to run the kids, I think, in the ground. And the very thing that the dead period was set up to was to give them rest, to get their bodies where they rebuild the muscle tissue and everything, and kind of get away from that sport for a week or two. And then yet they come back and we're going to work them out every day because there was no prerequisite in there that was established that it could only be 5 days a week, only could be 3 days a week, nothing. It was 1 hour a day. So you could see some overzealous coaches going 6 or 7 days a week for that 1 hour. I just think that we're not ready for that yet. I think the dead period's a great thing. For us in TPS, it would be fantastic to have 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks in July, because I could get all my gym floors resurfaced during that time and know that nobody was going to be in there. By rule, they couldn't be in there.
You know, it was so great during the era in which kids played more than one sport. And they would go from football into wrestling or to basketball or to swimming or whatever they wanted to do, and they were completely away from it. Then come back, and in the summer, it seemed like that they played basically their best sport, but it wasn't an entire summer.
No, it wasn't. And I think that's what we're trying to guard against is to let the kid be a kid.
Yes.
Let the kid grow.
Yes.
Let the kid go on vacation with their families.
Yes.
You know, those different things and not feel obligated that they missed practice or whatever. So I'm hopeful that the dead period passes. I'm also hopeful that we don't institute the 1 hour practice.
But do you think it will? We have about 30 seconds.
I know this, serving on the Athletic Directors Advisory Committee from ADs all around the state, all classifications. I would say right now, any school west of I-35 is not going to vote yes for the 1 hour. They would vote for the dead period. And I told the executive director, if you do that, let's have 2 separate votes. One for dead period, and then one whether or not we're going to have an hour of practice a day. Because if you put them together, it's going to kill the dead period.
Well, we could talk about this for a long time, Gil, but I do know one thing for sure. There's going to be some decisions made that's going to be important.
They will affect kids, there's no doubt.
And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And look forward to the next Inside Tulsa Athletics. Stay with us. More coming up right after this.
Stuff. When you don't want it, what do you do with it? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. There, you'll learn what to do with stuff you don't know what to do with. Just give us a click. TulsaRefuse.org. It's what you do when you don't know what to do with stuff.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Hope you enjoyed Inside Tulsa Athletics this week, and I certainly want to encourage you to go out and support the athletic programs of the Tulsa Public Schools, because through the athletic programs, this is how so many students are able to keep up their academic records so that they can graduate from high school. So again, get out and support athletics in the Tulsa Public Schools, and we'll see you again right here on Inside Tulsa Athletics in 2018. That is in January. So long.